Welcome to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat Podcast. Now, sit back and enjoy while Nick and Trevor help you use your technology to make money and delight your clients.
Well, good afternoon, Trevor. Welcome back to the Accounting Technology Fireside Chat Podcast. We missed last week, but we're back, aren't we?
We did. The world's been a little bit busy, so we're back this week. So lots going on in the world. Victoria's still in lockdown. We get to play golf. We get to do a few things, and my wife got her first haircut in 3 months, so she was excited yesterday.
Well, that's cool. You got out to play golf. You can now go for 25 kilometers. You're not restricted for doing nothing, are you?
Well, it's what do you go 25 kilometers for? We're only allowed to do 4 things.
What are those? Come on, tell me. What are those 4 things?
Exercise, go to the doctor, go to the medical thing, go to the shops to buy food. And I can't even remember what the last one is.
Okay, so that doesn't sound
just to socialise. We can meet and socialise in a park
with 2 families, right? And up to so and so people. Yeah,
up to 10 people from 2 different families.
I'm not sure how that all works, but anyway, never.
No. And golfing's quite interesting. So I was playing yesterday, and yesterday, the day before, and this lady came in and they said, "Oh, we're going out with a 4." And she goes, "You can't have 4." And he goes, "Well, you can have 4 if you've got people from the same house." So then she said, "Cool." So she rang her friend and her husband, and they played as a 4, and they got to play as a 4. So because they're from the same household, they're not breaching the rules, and everybody's going, "Oh, that's interesting." And then they hold up the whole field because they're playing in a 4 and everybody else is playing in 2. So there's a lot of stuff to work out. It's sort of like the whole rules around everything. It's sometimes they fly by the seat of their pants and they issue all these rules out and they go, "Well, that didn't work." So we'll keep working on it, but we'll get there. And it looks like our numbers are dropping and dropping and dropping. So something is working. So I'll hats off to whoever's organising that. So we'll stay out of that.
That sounds really good. I'm happy for you, Trevor. I think we're finally getting somewhere with all of this.
Yeah. Poor Victoria.
I
was looking at the maps. You know that Western Australia's got the same amount of cases as you do.
Does it? Oh, there you go. Oh,
and their borders are closed.
Yeah, they got ships coming in and all sorts of dodgy stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about New South Wales. Hey, we're better than England and Spain and France and Europe and America and all sorts of things. Let's kind of be happy. I noticed Lindsay Fox has come out today in support of Daniel Andrews.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, he said at least he had the balls to actually go and do what he thought was right.
I'll go and find that one and have a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get into this.
All right.
Everybody's heard enough about COVID and lockdowns. Let's talk about some tech.
Yeah, let's talk about some tech. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I've got a really interesting question for you. What I see a lot of is a lot of accounting firms are using, so they've got an Office 365 subscription, but they still have a Dropbox and they still have Slack and they still have all of these things that they're paying for, which is all available in Office 365. And when I ask them, why are you doing that? Isn't it better everything's all into one place? They go, years ago, SharePoint was really difficult. And then they haven't gone back and revisited Teams and SharePoint and how to manage that. And they're stuck in with their documents in Dropbox. And, then it comes down to security comes around that so then they go and buy other security measures as well. So they'll go and buy something that covers their security because everything's all over the place.
Yeah, so that's really, really common. There's a comment we used to have in the tech industry where we talked about something called best of breed. So go out and get lots of different things from different vendors. And that assumes you know what best of breed is, or you're qualified to decide what best of breed is. And normally you're not. So what happens, I'll give you an example. I was working in a school recently.
Can I check, am I qualified to sort of have a bit of an idea on
maybe a bit
best of breed?
I'm not sure. You're certainly qualified to do accounting, and I'm certainly qualified to do technology. But it's like I said, I was having a meeting with a customer the other day, and I said, yeah, I am not qualified to play the trumpet. You wouldn't want me to come and play. I can make a noise on it, but you wouldn't want me to come and play the trumpet. So we'll leave trumpeting to trumpeters, shall we? And that kind of thing. So there was I'm trying to remember. There was a poem my dad used to say, which ended up with "'Tis the role of the wealthy man to give employment to the artisan," which is all about in Edwardian times people electrocuting themselves at home for doing home wiring. But we'll move past that. But
that still goes on. Yeah. Don't worry about
that. So I think I use an example. I was working at a school, and one of the teams decided they wanted to use Zoom. And at the same time, Microsoft came to the school and said, and this was just before the school went totally school from home, and said, we can integrate with your school management system, and we can create a separate team for every lesson automatically across the school. Invite all the kids, all the teachers, the teams in education. It's just brilliant. And so the school went, brilliant, we'll do teams in education. There's one department that wasn't involved in education turned around and said, oh no, we want to use Zoom. So we sat them down and we said, well, why do you want to use Zoom? And they said, well, it's better. And we went, well, what do you mean it's better? What bit is better? The quality's better. And we went, well, what do you mean by audio, video? So we did them side by side, and they couldn't. Oh, yes, but sometimes they said, and it turns into this, I don't know, kind of this quasi-religious belief where people go, I like this technology. I can't really tell you why, but I like it because I do, and that's what I'm going to do. So there you see Slack versus Teams. There you used to see Novell versus Microsoft. There you used to see Unix versus Windows, or Linux versus Windows, or Mac versus PC, or these. And these, it doesn't matter. It's a set of irrelevant discussions. Would you rather an integrated platform that did everything you want? Well, probably you would. And so in that case, use a G Suite or an Office 365, and they've all got tools that do all these sorts of things, and use all of that thing you're paying for. Because otherwise, and I don't know if, and lots of people will go look at their credit card statements now. You go and buy one thing and it's like $30 a month, and then you buy another. Before you know, you're spending $500-600 a month on your software, where the features, most of them are being done by something else. So I think it's very, I see a lot of, what I call 2:00 in the morning after a bottle of whiskey buying, where you see an ad on TV and go, oh, I should get that. That will be the silver bullet that will solve everything.
Or they go to a seminar and a very good friend of ours stands on stage and he says, write this down. You need to buy Slack. You need to get Dropbox. You need to have this. You need to have that. And then I'd follow in after him and say, buy Office. If you've got Office 365, all of that's available. So before you buy any of those things, see if you can use those features in there. Yeah. And we're not just saying Office 365, because you said G Suite. So that's where you can use Hangouts and you can use the whole G Suite thing. Yeah, so but what we're saying is,
this is not unique to Office 365, but really in market, there's two cloud platforms that run most of your business. It's Office 365 or it's G Suite. And I'm not going to have a Office 365 versus G Suite debate, because I think, at least in the accounting world, Excel versus Sheets should shut that debate down in about 3 femtoseconds, but it might not, so I'm not going to go there. It
might not. Some people have gotten used to Sheets and so forth like that. But the thing we're talking about is, people just need to have a bit of a look at all the different applications they're running and say, well, is that available? Why am I running Zoom and paying for Zoom when I'm already paying for Office 365 and I could be doing that in Teams?
Yeah, so let's kind of go through them. So first of all, let's talk about collaboration. Right? There's 4 systems for collaboration. There's either Gmail, Exchange Online, Outlook, Teams, and Slack are really the 4 major ones out there. There's other things out there, but that's really in business. So there's Facebook business thing as well. So there's all of these. All of them kind of have comparable features. You want to be able to send and receive email, so you need an email system. So get G Suite email or get Office 365 email. They're both great, right? They work. Done. For a kind of Teams type environment, Teams or Slack kind of does it. Slack doesn't have the video conferencing. Teams will, if you buy it, integrate with your phone system, so it suddenly becomes your phone as well. So they've got little bits of features which don't kind of appear in different things. But if you really think about it, if you've got Office 365, you paid for Teams. If you've got G Suite, you paid for Meet and you paid for the other things. So don't go and get something else. So you could then go Zoom or go to Webinar or go to Meeting or WebEx or BlueJeans or all of the myriad of Join.me and all of the myriad different video conferencing systems available. And I kind of follow this a little bit, because there's lots of different. I've used lots of different ones in the past. But when the Consumer Electronics Show, which is the biggest consumer electronics show in the world, which is going virtual next year, is doing it all on Teams, you tend to sit up and listen. Right? That's about consumer electronics. That's not about business and everything else. And if they think consumers are up to, grabbing a conference like that through Teams, then it's probably got to be an okay platform. And certainly Teams has come a million miles even in the last year.
Yeah, and I get a lot of people say, my clients just don't know how to use Teams. They know how to use Zoom, and I can't be bothered teaching them how to use Teams. And, and then there's also the conferencing facilities that are available that they just aren't aware of.
I'm going to use an example for that. A year ago, maybe a year and a bit ago, we were going to a conference, and I said to the guys I was working with, let's put QR codes on our business cards. Right?
Yeah.
Makes it really simple, and the business card becomes dynamic. So you click on it and we can change what that QR code does and where it goes to and all those sorts of things. And we went to an event. No one knew how to use a QR code. Like no one. Like it was like, if I go to Asia, everyone knew how to use them. Suddenly, because of COVID, and I don't know about you in Melbourne because you can't do anything, but in New South Wales, every time you go anywhere, you have to scan a QR code for contact tracing. Everywhere. That's hospitals, that's doctors, that's anywhere you're going to stay for more than 5 minutes. It's your coffee shop, it's the pub, it's everywhere, restaurants, everywhere you go, you've got to scan a QR code and show them that you've scanned it. So now in New South Wales, everybody knows how to use a QR code. It's not up to, and I think you'll find, because we've all been in lockdown and doing a million video calls, most people know how to use every platform that's out there and have done.
Yeah, but I still for me, I look at Teams and I can see the features on it and the dial in and all of those functions. And I often I find Zoom harder to use. I find because I've been using Teams for so long, whereas other people go, I understand Zoom and they've got Zoom loaded on their system and stuff like that. But realistically, I find it easier to get people onto a Teams meeting than onto a Zoom meeting, but it's
horses for courses. But if you're going to have more than 45-minute meetings, you need to buy Zoom. If you've got Office 365 or G Suite, you've already bought something which does all of that. Why pay again? And so that's coming back to the why pay twice.
And things like when you're collaborating together and you're talking to your team, like you're working within Teams and you've got Office 365, things that you can do is leave, stay on the meeting the whole time with your people. You can say, okay, I've got Austin working with me. Sometimes we just work away and we leave the Teams channel open and we just talk like we're working next to each other. So that gives you that feeling of being a part of something,
Yeah, absolutely. And we do that a lot, right? We'll dive into a Teams call and leave it open all day, especially if we're working a big issue. And then anybody can dive in and out and chat the whole time. So that works.
So
works well.
Then they say that there's no breakouts. Talk to me about how you can do a breakout session in Teams.
There's a couple of ways. Microsoft are about to release breakout rooms. So that comes in November. They just announced that the other day. But what you can do in the team, so if you create a meeting in the team, you can go and create another meeting in the team and people can join the different meetings and flip between them. You get a little dialog box that pops up saying join the other meeting or pause this one, etc. So they're easy to do as well. Just Google breakout rooms in Teams and it will tell you how to do it. But works, breakout rooms are really important when you're running a conference or you've got a class. They're not actually that important a feature when you're trying to communicate with people.
Yeah, and the other one we get is the number of people. So now we've got 9, I think, that 49. We get on the screen.
49 in Teams.
49 now.
49. If you go to your little settings bar, you'll have a bunch of options, and I'll just drop it down. You might see that on the screen. So you can choose the gallery, large gallery, or together mode. And because there's only 2 of us, I can't do together mode. It needs to be more than 1 there. Let me just close my settings. It's all the way over there. There we go. But together mode actually puts everybody in seats in an auditorium.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a bit weird.
I really like it. So we were doing that this morning for a big session I was on. I had 30 people in together mode.
Different. They've all got different sizes because of their bits and pieces and what they're using for cameras and all that sort of stuff. Looks a bit weird. I look at that big fat guy in the room. I don't like it.
But yeah, it can work well. It's meant to make you less tired. So certainly we use that a lot. And we've used that. We're about to do some broadcasts with that where we'll have 5 or 6 people in together mode. And instead of just, you can see right now, you've got a screen with you and a screen with me. We'll have everybody in together mode, and as you add more people, the room changes to become more of a bigger auditorium and stuff.
Okay, So we'll get in there and play with it. That's the question. Don't just sit there and go, oh, I've always used Zoom, so I'm going to stick with Zoom. I've always used Slack. Have a look around, but more importantly, try and reduce your costs by using the apps that you're already paying for. So have a good look at your credit card and see what you're paying for, and maybe sort of see that are those features available rather than keep on spending money there.
Yeah, and you know, as a business advisor, you say to your clients, careful where you spend your money. You know, don't double spend, don't buy something twice. You know, never invest in cars; they're awful. I've heard all of that. But
Don't invest in cars.
It seems to me to be a really, you know, crazy idea to buy things with very similar functionality because you slightly like one more when you've already got everything that's there. And let's face it, everybody knows how to use all of them now because we've all been in lockdown so long.
Exactly. And we're learning how to put it all together. Well, what about security, right? So let's talk about, you've got your documents and you're using Dropbox, but you've got Office 365 and you're flicking things around. You know, talk to me about security across that and how you can, you know, I've got a bit of an idea that if I've got my Microsoft managing my security and I've got my documents are all in the one place, not only is it really easy to find, especially within Teams, because I can search within Teams and find a document, whether it's in SharePoint, whether it's in OneDrive and so forth.
Yep.
But what worries me is security and managing that security. It means I've got to manage my security twice.
It does. So let's say you've got Office 365, you can turn on multi-factor authentication, you've got one log on. If you were to get fired from your position, your company can close your account like that.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, Dropbox isn't a corporate thing, it's a personal thing. So they've got a whole nother account for Dropbox.
Yeah.
Where they've got some business files and some other things. So if you were fired from your organization, they've just lost all that data. That's step one. So if you run a business, don't let your staff use Dropbox. All of the functionality of sharing and everything else lives within Office 365. The other thing, because you run an accounting firm, is data leakage prevention. You want to stop certain things being leaked out of your organization, like credit card numbers, tax file numbers. In fact, you're required to by law.
Just say tax file numbers, tax file numbers, tax file.
Tax file numbers. If you've got them in Dropbox, you're in, or Box, or any one of the others, unless you set it up really well to be your corporate file sharing solution. And then if you've got G Suite or Office 365, why are you adding another file sharing solution? But if you desperately want to do that, you've got to be careful. I'll give you an example. How many logins do you think you have, Trevor? And you've got to have Facebook, LinkedIn, you know, work, Office 365, you'll have one, blah, 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 blah.
At least 100.
And every one of those has a different password, right?
Yep.
Are you sure?
No. Yes. Stop dragging me into your evil web. I know what you're doing. Yes, they do.
So
no.
Everything gets hacked. So we run a report for some of our customers called the Dark Web Report, where we go and look to find if their account's been compromised anywhere and what the password is. And you'll find, you know, if you've got here's an example. Lots of people have kids and the kids go to school, and lots of schools use a tool called Edmodo, which allows you to see what your kid's doing and see what their timetable is and blah, 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 blah. And lots of people sign in with their work account to that because they don't want to remember a million email addresses, right? So they just use their, you know, at so-and-so account, and they use the password they use everywhere. And a year ago, Edmodo was hacked, and all of those passwords are now available with the associated email addresses on the dark web. And that's free to get. Like, I can log in and do it right now. So you can suddenly get compromised by using all those different systems with all those different logins. And yeah, Adobe got compromised. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. So if you use Adobe and you've got your own sign-in, you're not integrated with Office 365, and you've been using it for more than 2 years, you've probably been compromised. And the password you use on there is available to anybody in clear text.
I'm just going to go off in a minute and change all my passwords to something else, my 150 of them, and manage that through. But
use a password manager, at least.
At least use a password manager. What would you suggest is the best one?
I use Chrome for most of mine. I just use the browser to manage all my passwords. It will suggest complex ones. It stores them in the browser. It sticks them in my Google account. It works well.
Is it secure?
It's better than nothing. If somebody got physical access to my PC, they'd get all those passwords. But my PC's encrypted, and so you'd need to break BitLocker as well. So it's harder and harder, but it's still possible.
So Chrome, I use the Chrome password manager. I didn't think that was a very good thing to do, especially for your bank account and all of those sort of bits and pieces. But you're telling me differently.
Well, it will also tell you if any of your passwords have been compromised now.
Oh, right.
So if you actually go into settings in Chrome and go to passwords, it will pop up and say 3 or 4 or 5 of your passwords have been compromised.
And just we're going to digress, but one thing you did show me not long ago, especially for me who works in multiple businesses. So I'm working in Hub one day, and next day I'm working at Ashford's, and another time I'm working in my little accounting firm.
It's the multiple
you
Chrome
showed
profile,
me how to create
yes.
profiles in Chrome. So I've got all my different passwords, which is fantastic for Xero. As one example. I can then log in and it just remembers that login and that login and that login. So that was a really cool feature within there.
So in Office 365, there's actually a single sign-in solution for other applications. So if you're an administrator, you can set people up to log into Xero, so they never know their Xero login. It's always wrapped up with the Office 365 one. You can do that with all sorts of apps. So it's worthwhile having a look at that as well. It's a bit of a pain to
What about things like LastPass and all of these? We've had issues with a few of those, though, haven't we? We've had some, it's affected functionality of other areas. So
yeah, I do wonder if some of that was me not reading the manual. So I'm not gonna diss those guys because lots of people love them and swear by them. So, but the other thing is always use multi-factor authentication. Always, never just a username password combination.
Yeah. In other words, you've got to log in, and I know it seems like it's fairly painful, but it's not too bad. You've just got to use it.
Yeah, so you either get a text, or you've got an app on your PC, or it pops up, or whatever. Something you have, something you know, something you are is those factors you need to think about.
All right, I think we've. Do you want to keep talking about more of this stuff? I can't think of anything else to cover off in there. I think we've smashed a lot of it.
I think that's kind of cool. I think we've kind of gone, if you bought something, use it. If you're buying something that has very similar features, why? So don't waste your money, right? Try and keep things with one authentication source and protect your passwords, and use multi-factor authentication would be summing up that entire chat.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I learned more again today. Thank you.
That was lots of fun.
See you next week.
All right, no worries. We will see you. I'll see you next time. I look forward to it. And thanks everybody for listening and watching today. So if you're watching on Facebook, hope you enjoyed it. Give us a like, put a comment, tell us what you want to do. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, give us a like. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, put a comment, give us a like, subscribe to our channel. We're here every week. Trevor, thank you so much. Have a great day.
And if you've got any questions and you feel like we were a bit lost on anything we talked about today, reach out to Nick. I'm sure his details are somewhere, and he's more than happy to help you out and get you sorted out, because it's been helping me for 10 years now.
Click on the link right below. And I'm still learning. I can't even point. Anyway, it's under Trevor. Click on the link under Trevor and you'll know where to go. So it's bit.ly/ATFS chat.
And have fun out there. Stay safe.
Cool. Thanks heaps. Thanks everybody. You have a fantastic day. Cheers, Trev.
Right. See you, Nick.